All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, February 10th. We have a jam-packed NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when I go through each and every one of these games, I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game. But as always, like I always tell you guys, all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me and do the opposite of those picks, those plays are going to be in the pinned comments. So make sure to keep an eye on that. Last night, we were very conservative. In fact, only 3 plays, so we didn't really get too aggressive. But we did have a profitable night. We had the Rockets and the Raptors under, that cashes with ease. And then Kings money line, which we got some flack in the comments for yesterday, saying I was crazy for taking Kings money line. What's the basis? What's the reasoning? Well, 1, I tell you why in the video. And 2, it cashes, so there's another win for us there. The Hornets and Bucks over 228. I mean, we just got to stop taking anything Bucks related, right? The Bucks did their job, but the Hornets scored 2 points, so that's tough. But 2 in one night, not going to cry over profit there. And like I said, we got a bunch of NBA basketball to jump into today, so very excited to do so. In terms of our ride of the day, it comes through again here. Eric hammering RJ Barrett over 31.5 PRA. He's now hit 3 in a row, so shout out to Eric. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is your hashtag or that hashtag ride of the day in the comments, and I'm jumping on board with one person's pick in the comments, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss, and a shout out over on my Twitter at EvGuyBoston if you guys do want to check it out there. But if you guys keep winning, we continue to ride with you. So Eric has now been ridden 3 times. And we'll ride with them again today, so make sure to keep an eye on that. Eric, let's see what you got in the comments today. The last couple have been ones that I've said in the video, so let's see if we can get some creative plays in the comments today. But go ahead and use those hashtag ride of the days. All right, we're looking at like I said, a nice jam-packed NBA slate. Started off with what should be a good game. We got Dallas taking on the Thunder. Dallas 2.5-point dogs here at home. Total sitting at 240.5. This is an afternoon game. In fact, it's even earlier for them, I guess, right? So it's a 3 p.m. Eastern time game here, but obviously in Dallas earlier. Right now, there is a pretty, plethora of an injury report to read for Dallas. Maxi Kleber questionable, Kyrie Irving probable, Luka Doncic probable, Derek Lively out. So it is worth noting that Luka and Kyrie are on the injury report. This is a tough one for me because I do lean towards the Thunder, but they just haven't been playing their best brand of basketball. Yes, they've won 3 of their last 4. 2 of those wins, Charlotte and Toronto. I give them credit for beating Denver, but that was at home here. They just played the Jazz, a few nights ago and didn't look all that great. They lose 124 to 117. And what I will say about that though is, that was 4 days. I think it was 3 or 4 days ago. Now they have some rest heading into it. Dallas coming off of a win against the Knicks, a good win, 122 to 108. But that was no Julius Randle, no OG Anunoby, no Jalen Brunson. Like, it wasn't a full Knicks team, right? So it's worth noting there too. So like I said, I'm going to lean towards OKC. When they have a rest advantage over their opponent this year, doesn't matter road or away. They've covered in nearly 64% of games, and they're a really good cover team. They just haven't been as of late. So I'm going to lean OKC, but there is a big but. Big but. The matchup does, I could see Dallas having a decent game here, so it wouldn't surprise me if Dallas pulls this one out. But nonetheless, I'm sticking to my guns here. I like OKC. Now, from a total perspective, 240.5, you have OKC that has slowed way down when it comes to pace of play. And even if you just look at their last few games here, right, their points scored have been honestly pretty damn low for OKC, and the defense has been playing well. Dallas, on the other side of things, has been playing, pretty standard and consistent offense. Their defense has been, 108 to the Knicks, and then all of a sudden a few games before that, 129 to Milwaukee. Very inconsistent. So you have sort of a pace of play that should be inconsistent here, which, by the way, be careful when betting it. I'm going to lean towards the over just because we have 2 teams that can play fast, but I don't think that makes its way into the final play. And I'm telling you guys right now, because there is a lot of inconsistencies. Like, these 2 teams can both play slow and both play fast. That's a tough spot to look at a 240 over and say, yeah, they're definitely going to go over. You know what I mean? It's very tough. Same thing, vice versa. So we probably stick away from the total, but I lean towards the over. In terms of player props here, We hit it last time with Dallas, and I don't mind hitting it again. Josh Green over 1.5 threes to the small forward position here. OKC has been pretty good at limiting that, but if he gets any shooting guard run, which is kind of his true position, OKC allowing the third most threes to opposing shooting guards, and he's a good enough shooter, shooting 46% in the year. If he goes and takes 5 threes, which he has taken in his last 4 games, he most likely is going to hit this over by percentages, right? So I like his spot here. He's hit it in 5 of his last 6 games again, and he's only making 2, but he's getting enough of the quantity that I'm not too bad about it. So give me Josh Green here over 1.5 3-pointers made. Another one. Just because these assist lines kind of get me, and it's like, come on, you can't get 1 assist. Derek Jones over 0.5 assists. He had 3 assists last game. He's had, I think it's like he's hit it in 9 of his last 10 first off, but he's had 2 3-assist games within his last 7. If the ball's going around, all he has to do is pass to Kyrie for a 3 and it cashes. So 2 player props that I don't mind looking at in this spot. Next up, we got the Clippers taking on the Pistons. While I have been loving the Clippers basketball as of late, this is not really a game that I'm all excited about. Clippers right now 16-point favorites. I've seen it at 15.5 on some sports books. So for what it's worth, if you do want to lay that big number, Clippers coming off of a loss to New Orleans a few nights ago. Detroit coming off of a win against Portland. They've won 2 games in a row, so don't call it now, but maybe the championship hopes are still alive. They're probably already mathematically eliminated. I don't even know. But the Clippers here are obviously the better team, and they match up well against this Pistons team. This Pistons team's going to come in here with no real one-on-one advantages or even just positional advantages. So I see why this line is where it is. The Pistons' fun of winning 2 games in a row is most likely over. Give me LA minus the points here. But again, it is a huge number, so you guys know how I feel about those huge numbers. Like, look at the Celtics last night, right? I was like, the Celtics will probably win the game, but I'm not touching 16 points. Look at how that game turns out, So probably not going to be a final play. I could see, the overhitting in this game. I'm going to lean in that direction. If the Clippers choose to play, some transition basketball, there's no chance the Detroit Pistons are able to stop them. And the Detroit Pistons, I don't know why I'm saying Detroit Pistons, they're the Pistons, I think would encourage that. Like, they are a team that has been playing fast as of late. Like, look at the last 6 games for the Pistons, minus 1 game. So you'll see, ready? This is points scored. 120, 121, 125, then it was the 99 game. That's the minus 1 game. 133, 128, like, this Pistons team is running and gunning and playing with decent pace here as the 10th fastest team in the league in their last 10 games. So if this game gets going, I think the Clippers, are going to be able to score like hot knives going through hot butter in transition. And yeah, a lot of points can be scored. If this was at like the previous game that we talked about, 240.5, I probably don't, look at the over here. But 236.5, I could see this being like a 239 finish. So very, very marginally. But yeah, give me the over in this one as well. In terms of player props, nothing really jumping off the board to me here, especially when you have potential blowout in store. All right, guys, before we do jump into the rest of the slate, I want to talk to you about OddsJam. If you haven't checked out OddsJam yet, make sure to do so. I have a link in the pinned comment. You're going to get 7 days free. And if you sign up using code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, spelling bee champ, like I tell you guys, if you use that code, you'll get 25% off. Right now, we're looking at the positive EV screen, which OddsJam has tons and tons of tools that you guys can use to become better and more profitable sports bettors. But I love this positive EV screen. What this does is identifies mispriced lines in the market. For example, here, Victor Wembanyama under 10.5 assists, plus 105 over on DraftKings, right? If we open this up, look at that. Under is minus 118 average odds across sportsbooks. So you have a plus money play on DraftKings that a lot of other sportsbooks are saying, no, it's actually minus money. It's a really, really cool tool. You can even go down here and look at Victor Wembanyama. Again, looks like DraftKings is just mispricing them all together. Minus 120 for his under PRA and on most sports books. And look at that, DraftKings offering it for plus 105. They also have the arbitrage sports betting screen, which I love this screen as well. This is how you make risk-free profit. It's a marginal profit because, you're only winning, 1 to 2% of what you're putting down. But for example, right here, the Cavs taking on the Raptors. If you take Donovan Mitchell's over 5.5 assists over on Fanatics, and then you take his under 5.5 assists over on FanDuel, you could see you could do $100 over on Fanatics, put 153 on FanDuel, profit $2 no matter what, because he has to either have over or under 5.5 assists, right? There's no ending on 5.5. So go ahead and check out OddsJam, guys. Again, that link is going to be in the pinned comment. Use code GUYBOSTON to get 25% off. I just walked you through 2 tools. They have a plethora of tools over there, and I highly recommend it. Go ahead and check it out. Now let's get back to the games. All right, we got Brooklyn taking on the Spurs here. Right now, Brooklyn, I say just 5.5-point favorites over San Antonio, which makes me a little worrisome because this is a team in which I do think is better than San Antonio by 6 points or so. But I guess you could just look at how Brooklyn's been playing, and it's like, oh, well, duh, that's why. But their strength of schedule has not been the easiest here, and San Antonio hasn't had like the hardest schedule, and they've still lost 8 of their last 10 games. They've lost 6 straight. They've only covered in 1 of those 6 losses. So give me Brooklyn here minus the points. In terms of, you know, the confidence level there, it's like, well, they've traded some guys away. They have injuries to deal with. Lonnie Walker, Cam Johnson, Finney Smith, all in the injury report. Actually, Cam Johnson already ruled out, and Finney Smith is as well, right? So it's like they have plenty of injuries, which probably keeps us off laying the points as Brooklyn. But that being said, I still think that they're comprised as a better team than San Antonio, so I'll lay the points here. Total sitting at 231.5. San Antonio's been playing with some serious pace. 6th fastest team in the last 10 games, but how much weight do we want to put into that for them? Not much, because it's really been their defense that's upping the pace. Like, they're allowing turnover, or they're turning the ball over, allowing some transition opportunities for other teams. Whereas Brooklyn, I don't necessarily see going down that path. So I'm going to lean towards the under in this one as well. And then from a player prop perspective, we're sounding the psycho alert alarm because Ben Simmons, I like his over 12.5 points, rebounds plus assists, excuse me. He had hit in 9 straight games, and he had 1 rebound and 2 assists in 20 minutes of play last game against Cleveland. This is a team that now has no Spencer Dinwiddie. I do think that Ben Simmons is, you know, minutes should go up if he cares about basketball, but I like his spot here. Again, that's over 12.5 rebounds plus assists. It's tough. I already know it's tough. I think you can get it at 11.5 as well if you want to be a little safer. But like I said, I know it's tough because people hate Ben Simmons, and even when everyone loved him last time, right? I think Tassos had him in the parlay. I saw a bunch of people on social media looking at Ben Simmons. He failed. Like, he looked 20 minutes of play, 1 rebound, 2 assists for a guy that's all he's supposed to do, right? But I like the matchup here against San Antonio. You know, Ben Simmons pretty positionless, but they allow plenty of assists and rebounds to opposing players. So yeah, hate me for it. Say I'm crazy. Who knows if it becomes a final play? Because again, it is Ben Simmons, and I swear that dude just does not like basketball. All right, Charlotte taking on Memphis. I guess there's some games that, you know, I just wish didn't exist here. I'm not really interested in this Charlotte and Memphis game, as I'm sure many people are in the same boat. Charlotte coming off of a loss last night to Milwaukee, and like I said, they scored 80, or I said they scored 2 points in the intro of this video, or the recap. They scored 84 points against Milwaukee. Memphis coming off a loss to Chicago. They almost covered in that, losing by 8. They were 6-point dogs. Their injury report still is as long as, you know, any sort of book you could read, like literally a novel, maybe a novella, but very, very long. I don't have the reading level to be able to read their injury report. And it's kind of tough because I do like Memphis in this spot, but I just haven't been able to trust Memphis. And they covered in a bunch of games in a row. They've only covered in 1 of their last 4 games, but that was against Golden State, Boston, New York, and Chicago, right? It's like not the easiest of teams. Now they're playing Charlotte. They should be able to beat and cover this Charlotte number. So I'll lean towards Memphis here. Memphis on the road, 57% of the games this year they have covered. Most of those have been big numbers. This is them as a favorite, which isn't as like juicy, but I'll still take it. In terms of a total, we're looking at 219. I guess I got to look at the under. After seeing Charlotte last game score 84 points, like, yeah, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole, though. In terms of player props, also not really loving much in this game, unfortunately. All right, we got Orlando taking on the Bulls in this spot right now. Orlando sitting as 4.5-point favorites at home. Total at 219. The total I want to lean under, but boy, oh boy, is that a low number. I'm still going to lean under because you have Orlando. I think is going to control the pace here, playing as the 3rd slowest team as of late in terms of pace. And then Chicago, who, you know, innately wants to play slow. So I'll take the under 219, but I do like Orlando minus 4.5 probably the most in this game. They are at home here, covering in 68.2% of games at home this season. They are the #1 spread team overall this year against the spread, 34-18, which you gotta love. And then in terms of what we're looking at from Chicago, it's like I don't really love the matchup here. I do think that this is going to be a spot in which you know, Orlando can score in the paint, which is what they like to do. And Chicago likes to go and you know, they score in the paint as well. And they're not really gonna Orlando's not going to be too easy to score from there. Orlando also covers the the corner three ball, I should say, fairly well, which is something that Chicago likes to do. Right corner, for example, is one of their better hotspots on the floor. I just like the matchup on the floor for Orlando, and it's a small-ish number. Like, I probably would have played this up to like -6, to be honest. But, you know, when I'm confident in that, sometimes it might be time to fade your boy. But like I said, slightly lean towards the under, and Orlando -4.5. Now, in terms of player props here, I don't mind looking at Caruso over 15.5 PRA. If he puts up, you know, 8, 9, maybe 10 points, you gotta love this, right? Because he's looking at about 5 rebounds, 4 assists, like, per game as of late, and he's hit this in 8 of his last 10 games. The one that he didn't hit it on was last game against Memphis. He played 29 minutes, which was the second fewest minutes he's played in his last 10 game logs, and he finished at 15, just on the hook, right? And from a shooting perspective, he shot 25% from the field. Like, Alex Caruso has been a very instrumental part of this Bulls team this year, right? Going from coming off the bench to being the starting two guard, covering the best player on the other team. Like, I do think that he's involved enough to go and hit this over. And for what it's worth, they've played 2 times this season. Caruso back in mid-November. Both these games were in mid-November, 2 days apart. 24 PRA and 19 PRA against this Orlando Magic team. All right, guys, wanted to take a second to shout out Fade Me, the merch brand we have here on the channel. I'm wearing the parlays all day tee right now, but we got a ton of cool stuff over on the store. The Scared Money Don't Make Money tee and hoodie. We got the Fade Me wall tag hoodie as well, but tons of cool stuff. I love this Gambler collection. I have this sweatshirt, and the thing is so comfortable, but tons of cool stuff over on the store right now. If you do want to support what we are doing here, again, that's fademe.store. Head over there. You can use code FADE. You get 10% off your order for today only. Go support what we're doing. If you've been watching for a while and want to support and want to join the community even more, head over there, pick up some good merch, guys. This is not just merch either. This is a brand that we put a lot of effort into, the products, the designs, everything like that. So go check it out, see for yourself, use that code FADE, and then you can get 10% off over on fademe.store. All right, we got Washington taking on the 76ers here. Though Joel Embiid is out, I still think this is kind of like a spit-in-the-face type line to Washington, or excuse me, to the Sixers. Like, I still think with a Tyrese Maxey-led Sixers team, they should be better than this Washington team. Now, Tyrese Maxey is questionable, so is, I guess he's the only questionable. Nicholas Batum is out. Joel Embiid, we know, is out. DeAnthony Melton, we know, is out. So I guess, you know, everything else is, he's really the only one that's up in the air. But yeah, if he doesn't play, which I almost think this line might indicate he won't, then I'm probably sticking away from this game altogether. But if he plays, I'll take the Sixers here minus the points. I also don't mind looking at Tyrese Maxey's under 41.5 PRA. I think it's a fairly inflated line. He's only hit the over, I want to say, in like 9 or 10 games his entire season. He's played nearly 50 games, 46. So yeah, give me the under on him. Last times he's played Washington, a couple times this season already, 34, 34, and 31 PRAs. Without Joel Embiid, obviously that's a little bit different, but still, I do think that, you know, this is a spot in which they don't necessarily need to go crazy to keep up with this Washington team. Washington also on the back-to-back, right? Playing the Celtics last night, Washington has covered just 37% of games on the season on back-to-backs. So give me Phillies. Give me Philly minus the points. Give me Tyrese Maxey's under. And then in terms of a total, you can tell I'm going back and forth on this one. I'll lean towards the under as well. I think this is a slow-paced game. That's my least favorite spot in the game, though. But keep an eye on the pin comment, because if Maxey's out, we wipe our hands clean of this game. Hawks taking on the Rockets here. Both teams on a back-to-back. Hawks coming off a win against Philly. Houston coming off of a loss against Toronto. We cashed the under in that game yesterday. We do have some injuries to note. DeJounte Murray was out last game. I think he's been absent from the last 2 or 3 games. He is still questionable in this spot. Van Vliet is out for Houston. Eason, who's been out for a while, is also out for Houston. And then Clint Capella is still out for Atlanta as well. In terms of questionabilities, like I said, DeJounte Murray, you have Matthews and Mills for Atlanta. I like Atlanta in this spot. And it's just because, like, I'm kind of still on this fade Houston on the road kick, right? Like, we've done that all year long. It's been profitable. And this is a Atlanta team that, you know, they've showed signs of life here. They've covered 5 of the last 6 games. Some good teams, some bad teams mixed in there. In fact, the worst team that they probably covered against was the Lakers, and they were 6-point favorites, and they beat them by, it was like 16 or something. So I do think Atlanta, you know, you look at them season long, all their against the spread metrics are going to look terrible because they are, I think they are still the worst against the spread team in the league. Yeah, even behind Charlotte. So they're 16-36 this year against the spread. But as of late, just playing a little bit better basketball. And I don't think Houston's really a team that's going to like stand in their way. So give me Atlanta here. In terms of the total, Houston's been sneaky playing with some pace. But you know, is that total too high for a Houston game? I think so. So I'm going to lean towards the under, but man, I'll tell you, I wanted the over in terms of when I first started to look into this. Houston's been playing with pace, but they're just not scoring the ball as much. So they have plenty of possessions. The offense isn't there. 5th fastest pace in the last 10. Atlanta, number 1 pace in the last 10. And here I am taking the under. Could be kind of crazy, but it is what it is right now. In terms of player props, much like a few games on the board here, nothing really jumps off the page to me. So most likely passing in the player prop category here. I still don't mind taking a peek at Alpi Sengun's double-double here. He's been cashing that. I think he's hit in 7 or 8 of his last 10 games. Last time he's played Atlanta, though, he hasn't hit it. So it's like, all right, well, that stinks. But no Clint Capella here. Like the bigger center isn't there. And I do think that, you know, it could be a good spot for him. I believe we're still waiting on plenty of player prop lines with Murray being questionable still, so nothing on the Atlanta side of things for now. All right, we got the Knicks taking on to the Pacers here. The line right now is Knicks at home plus 4.5, but it makes a lot of sense here. In terms of injuries, we got plenty. OG Anunoby obviously out for an extended period of time. Julius Randle out for an extended period of time. Now Isaiah Hartenstein is out this game, and you have Sims, who is that backup center to the backup center, is questionable in this spot. And then Jalen Brunson's also questionable. Now on the Pacers side of things, you have Smith and Halliburton also questionable here. So a lot of injuries to consider. If Brunson plays, I don't care about the centers. I don't care about whatever. Give me the Knicks plus the points if Brunson plays. If he doesn't, I'd probably stay away from this game because I truly don't necessarily trust Indiana anyways. They've been playing like up and down basketball. Even with Halliburton kind of returning to speed here, it really hasn't been like the best of story. Like last game, he stunk in that game. I think he was like 2 of 80 at 5 points. Did have 11 assists, but they need a little bit more from Halliburton, right? And that was in, I think it was like 26 minutes of play. So yeah, and that was because they pulled the bench at the end. Like maybe he was going to play a full minute allotment. Who knows? But I just can't trust them yet. Maybe in a little bit, we can get back to it, looking at them being like, yeah, well, fast-paced team. They'll score, run you out of the building. I don't think so. Not yet. Maybe this is the game that they do it. I'm wrong. Sure. But in terms of a total, I also like the under. I do still think that this Knicks team will kind of play grinded out basketball, even if, this is a spot in which, they don't have Brunson a big score or anything like that. I still do think that they can kind of tune down the pace here, and they're at home. So give me the under as well. From a player prop perspective, like I said, nothing really jumps off the page. Another game like that, which again, I feel like a broken record. You guys are probably like every game you're saying nothing player prop wise is jumping off the page, right? But I don't mind, and I'm going to hate to do it, don't mind taking a peek at Pascal Siakam again. So he burned us last time we took him, right? We had him laddered up 20.5, 21.5, 22.5. Had 10 points in 7 minutes in the first quarter. And then all of a sudden it was like, what'd you do? I think he finished with 16 points. But I do like his spot here. His line is 22.5. Again, you can still get, 23.5. You can still get like 21.5 for decent odds, 23.5 for plus money. But I like his mid-range spot here. He's hit this in 15 of his last 20 games. I'm not going to let one game kind of deter me from him, but I was damn bummed how he played last game. So nonetheless, give me Siakam's over in points, but not my favorite spot, but probably my favorite player prop, at least in terms of, that pool of choices. All right, guys, it's been a while since we dropped a number in the comments, but go ahead and comment 22 if you made it this far into the video. Appreciate each and every one of you guys that makes it this far into the video. We've been getting plenty of hate as of late and just plenty of, the guppies just gupping, right? But at the end of the day, people are engaging, people are watching. We're building a community here. Some communities are going to have some bad eggs and bad seeds, and those are the guppies. But nonetheless, guys, appreciate everyone that is tuned in. And if you're commenting 22 right now, then you are a real one. So thank you very much. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, like the video as well. But I appreciate you guys. Go ahead and comment 22. we got Toronto taking on Cleveland here. This should be a game in which Cleveland continues to play good basketball. They're really, they're super impressive right now, especially them being healthy. Nothing on the injury report to note as well, but this is a team that, coming off of a nice win over Brooklyn, in a team in which they were supposed to kind of crush, and they did. They are kind of doing, other than that, the Washington game, they've been kind of doing exactly what they're supposed to do in the last, handful of games here. And this amount of points, 8.5 to Toronto, I don't mind. Toronto's also on a back-to-back here. They got the win against Houston, and Toronto's only covered 1/3 of games on back-to-backs this season. And when Cleveland has a rest advantage over their opponents, 82% cover rate. So give me Cleveland here, even though it's a big number. Total at 228.5. So I do think Cleveland's defense is back and playing really well. I don't necessarily know if Toronto's going to have the easiest time stopping Cleveland, but I'll lean towards the under here. Again, it worries me because I think Cleveland can kind of make this a tough bet. They can go score 120, and it's ooh, that's kind of head-scratching if we're looking at a 228 number, but I'll still lean towards the under in this spot. Player props, I don't mind a few looks in this game. I will say they're all on the Cleveland side of things. I kind of like Jared Allen's over in PRAs. I know all these guys have been coming back and everything like that, but this is the Toronto Raptors on a back-to-back. Jakob Poeltl's been playing well, but, in terms of this matchup here, I do think Allen has a good shot against Jakob Poeltl just overall. Last time they played too, which was New Year's Day, he had 31 PRAs against them, and even in an abbreviated amount of a minute. So he only played 25 minutes the first time they faced off this year. He had 25 PRAs. So if you're looking at 28.5 PRA for him, yeah, I just like the spot. I think that he's more mobile and longer than Poeltl. Poeltl is a big body down there, but nonetheless, I'm not really all that afraid of Jakob Poeltl. I also don't mind to continue to look at RJ Barrett's over PRA. Yes, it's on a back-to-back, and that could stink, but he's cashed it in 6 straight games. I threw that out yesterday, didn't make it a final play because Eric made it the ride of the day. But yeah, I still think that RJ Barrett just getting a lot of usage, getting his shots up too. He's shooting 16, 15, last game 12, but 19 the game before that. He's shooting plenty to, if he can put up 20 plus points, I love looking at over 30.5 PRA. So 2 player props that could be in this game. I know I said that they were both on the Cleveland side of things. They aren't, duh. But yeah, Jared Allen and RJ Barrett, PRA. All right, Warriors taking on the Suns in this spot here. This is a tough one. So if you are on the Suns, which I'm on the Warriors, if you are on the Suns, I wouldn't talk you off it. The Suns playing good basketball, as are the Warriors. Last time they played mid-December, Suns won. Last time they played before that, Suns won. The time before that, Suns won. But I do think the Warriors, not to say they're hitting their stride, because it's not that, but they're starting to play some good basketball. Now, the teams they've beat, Philly twice without Embiid, right? Indiana, Brooklyn, Memphis. So maybe this is all a facade, but I do think they're starting to play better basketball here. And in terms of injuries, the injuries here don't bother me all that much. Klay Thompson, he's probable with an illness. I don't care if Klay Thompson plays, right? But on the Phoenix side of things, you have Beal, who's probable, and Devin Booker probable. Both those guys, hip and ankle injury, could be a little bit hobbled. If they play, they're fine, but I guess what I'm saying is if you weigh the injury reports, if Klay plays, whatever, but if one Booker or Beal sits, then that's a huge hit to the Suns team that has been playing well right now. They've been managing without, if Booker sits like last game or that type of thing. They've been managing, but nonetheless, I do think that the this is going to sound bad because I'm not trying to rag on the Suns, but I do think that right now they could be they're starting to, okay, finally we're getting healthy. The big three's together. We're playing good basketball. Right now it could be house of cards. And if one little thing comes in, it all could crumble. They haven't clicked yet, right? Whereas Steph's just playing out of his mind. The dude's clicked. But like I said, if you're on Phoenix, I'm not going to talk you off it, but I like getting 2 points here with Golden State. In terms of the total here, 239. You have the Warriors, who have upped the pace plenty, 9th fastest team in the league, and Phoenix, who has really been just kind of coasting at that, just outside the top 10 in terms of pace. These last few games for them, they've been scoring a boatload of points, and I don't see Golden State's defense really doing much, so I'll lean towards the over in this spot, and I think it also helps the player prop I like. Yusuf Nurkic, over 12.5 points. Last time he played the Warriors, he had 17 points here. He went, I think it was only he had 3 shots made, but he had 10 foul shots. Yusuf Nurkic is going to be by far the biggest guy on the floor. The only thing they're going to be able to do to stop him in the paint or in the restricted area is fouling. He's not the best foul shooter, I get that, but he went 10 of 11 last time they played. And if that is going to be the same sort of case again, I really don't mind looking at that. Opponents' free throw attempts against the Warriors, kind of will hack a big man like this, so I don't mind seeing that. Other player props, there are a few in this game. Like I said, I think there could be a decent amount of points scored. We may throw a same game parlay at you, so keep an eye on that. I don't mind looking at Jonathan Kuminga again, but again, he's getting kind of stale, like 18.5, 19.5, and he's finishing with 18 points, 18 points, 18 points. Little worrisome there, but this should be a closer game than the game against Indiana and the game against Philadelphia. So Jonathan Kuminga points as well as Yusuf Nurkic points. Kind of decent player prop looks in this spot. All right, Blazers taking on the Pelicans here. I'll jump right out and say it. I love Brandon Ingram's points again. I threw that your way yesterday. Would have been an alt line too, and I probably like an alt line again here today. Excuse me. Wow, you almost lost me at the end of the video with like a hiccup. But nonetheless, I do think that this is a good Brandon Ingram spot. Still waiting to get some lines for this game. I don't have any out right now, but if his line's 22.5, I could buy it down to 20.5, 21.5. Mid-range, again, I like that spot for him. And this is a Portland team that definitely struggles in the mid-range. From a spread perspective, yes, Pelicans are on a back-to-back here. Still don't mind laying the points because I don't necessarily think that Portland is a team that matches up well against Pelicans, and they lost to Detroit outright as favorites last time out. From a total perspective now, I'll lean towards the under, but really Brandon Ingram, and it depends on what the line and the odds are that we're getting, is going to be my really, only maybe big look in this game, to be honest. So, guys, it's going to wrap for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. You guys have been awesome as of late. For all the hate that we've been getting, there's been 10 times as much love, which I love. And just a quick rant at the end here. It's like people are like, stop acknowledging the hate. I've gotten a bunch of comments being like, you're clearly showing that it gets to you. Those are people commenting saying like, hey, stop acknowledging the hate. It's like, have you ever ragged on your friends and given your friend a hard time as like a joke and stuff? When someone hates on me on social media, that's how I'm taking it, It's like they're poking at me, I can poke right back. Me responding to hate is not a like defense mechanism. I could just ignore it. I have more fun mixing it up sometimes, especially if someone's saying some dumb shit and I'm like, yeah, well, it'd be funny to just absolutely trump them. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, guys, we'll keep doing us. Me being me is part of why this channel is getting here. I'm not just going to cater to some 2 comments, right? Saying, hey, stop responding to haters and guppies. It is what it is. Maybe it's not the best, but it's me. But we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.